Hello traders, welcome to my weekly Ichimoku chart wrap-up for the week ending July 22nd. It's July 24th, Sunday night, and the futures market is going to open in about 40 minutes from this particular time, so try to get this done as quickly as possible. We're going to start off, looking at the ES. This is the daily chart. While I have this open, I'll just point out that on the daily, ES has 21.4938 as the Tenkan-sen. If we do find some selling, then we could bounce there. So keep that 21.4938 level as on your radar. Let's go to the weekly, since this is the weekly Ichimoku wrap-up. So looking at the weekly chart, we see that we've seen a very strong trend up. And indeed, last week we put in a new high, 21.7025. We did put in a higher high over last week, even though last week had that topping tail. So that topping tail, which looked like it could potentially provide a reversal to the downside, did not do so, and we are still currently in an uptrend. You'll notice that the body of the most recent candle from last week, let me zoom in a little bit more. Sorry. I am attempting to control this and not having good luck. There we go. You see that last week's candle had a smaller body than the prior week, and the candles have sort of been getting smaller and smaller as we move up, getting the ranges become tighter and tighter. Also of note is the Tenkan-sen has been flattening out as price action makes less strong up moves and shows a tighter range. The Tenkan-sen is flattening out. When the Tenkan-sen goes flat, and when anything goes flat in Ichimoku, it tends to attract price back down towards it. You see the RSI is has been on a strong move upwards. Hasn't quite gotten to overbought yet. Usually if it would go to overbought, then we would see the potential need for either flagging action or a pullback. So I don't really have anything that shows me right at this particular moment that we need to get a pullback, and the Tenkan-sen is still slightly pointed up. But if the Tenkan-sen does flatten out, then we could get a pullback towards the flat Tenkan-sen. Currently it's at 2075.88, which also of note, the price action is pretty high above the cloud, and the cloud below is flat. I've been talking about this each week. The cloud is flat below and showing a pretty thin range. Whenever the cloud is thin, it indicates the potential for a thin range. You notice that when the cloud was thin over here, previously we had a pretty tight range while we were above that cloud. Then as the cloud started to get thicker, we got a strong move to the upside. Then the cloud flattened out right here, and we got a pullback to the cloud, and then a hold of the cloud on a closing basis. Then we got another strong move up from the cloud after price action came down and touched the bottom of the cloud. So some interesting Ichimoku stuff going on there. So as far as what's going to happen next week, we're at all-time highs, so I can't tell you about any potential prior resistance above. So we'll just see what happens, and we'll see if the Tenkan-sen does actually open flat. Then look for a pullback back towards it. But wherever the Tenkan-sen is when the new weekly candle opens up, that will be support if we do get a pullback. All right, I've spent more than enough time on ES. Let's move on. Let's go to CL next. CL has been pretty weak last week, although we had very low volume trading last week. In fact, I was mostly paying attention to ES volume, but the volume was like pathetic. Like whenever you see volume under 1 million contracts traded for the whole day, the volume is really pathetic. And I'm really not surprised. July is usually pretty dead in the markets. So we did see some selling on crude. We sold back into the cloud, so technically we have support. We did put in a bullish engulfing candle after the prior week's candle, which could, did I say bullish? I'm sorry, a bearish engulfing candle. So we could see a move lower. The trend change is in place. So we do have, although actually prior support we can see here, not from anything Ichimoku-y, but from horizontal support. So we could bounce here, or we could continue lower. If we do continue lower, I would be looking at some prior horizontal support in the 4120 area, and then the Kijun Sen down here at 3886. Wow, that seems pretty far down. If we get back above the cloud, then it's possible that the cloud will offer support. So next week, that is not going to be until around 4507 is the top of the cloud for this upcoming week. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has been jamming, as you can see. We're getting near the prior highs. We had these prior highs back at the end of 2015. So we're getting back up. So we do have price action to analyze for levels that did happen in the past for the NASDAQ. So you can take a peek at those. If we do get any weakening in the uptrend, we should see the Tenkan Sen start to flatten out as well. And if that happens, then we could be due for some mean reversion, or perhaps some flagging action. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. We had a really strong up move and then some flagging action, and really like almost a really messy triangulation period. And then we had a breakdown out of that, significant breakdown. So after this strong move up, I wouldn't be surprised if we did maybe even, shoot up, test the prior highs, and then get some flagging action sideways. Let's look at TF, the Russell. Russell's still been a really good indicator for ES. You see that, I don't think that, let's see what the high was, 12.40 and 12.12. So we failed to put in a higher high, so we put in a slight, just a couple ticks lower high last week than the week before. We do have a flat Tenkan Sen and a flat cloud and a flat Kijun Sen, and the Kijun Sen is under the cloud, so those signals suggest that we could get sideways action. Also, the cloud becomes thinner and flatter as we go into the future, so I would not be surprised to see some flagging action, most likely above the Tenkan Sen. If we do get selling, we can expect there to be a support level when the Chikou, this red line over here representing price action, time shifted 26 periods into the past, comes down, if it comes down, and touches the cloud, which is around 1165.40. So keep an eye on that level if we do get a pullback on the TF. Let's look at the Dow. Dow also very bullish. We did put in a bit of a topping tail up here, and this is a spinning top type doji. So that could be a potential reversal candle. If we do get a pullback, then we can look for support at the Tenkan Sen. The Tenkan Sen is currently at 17,763 at the moment. I would be surprised to see a pullback that deep in one candle, but it's possible. We do have this flat and thin cloud below that could attract price action if we do see some selling. Let's move along to the metals. I haven't been paying that much attention to metals this week, but it seems that I saw a lot of conflicting comments about the metals over the path of last week, and therefore, but yet I wasn't really studying the price actions. That's why I'm sort of admitting to that right at the moment. But so we see that last week we did put in another lower high and another lower low, so we're still in a downtrend after this tweezer top reversal from 2 weeks ago. And we do have some prior support here, obviously, that's showing we do have a bottoming tail on this candle and also this candle back here and topping tail. So this level is pretty important. Let's look around the 1322 area, so which is where we closed. So that area could be support. We could see some flagging or pennant type action above that level, or we could continue pulling back to the Tenkan-sen, which is currently at 1289.50 on gold. Let's look at silver. Silver, similar to the gold chart, we do have a strong bottoming tail on the bottom of last week's silver candle, but we do still have an obvious confirmed reversal after this spinning top doji from last week. We did put in a lower high and a lower low. If we continue to pull back, we could look for potentially for support at the Tenkan-sen at 1852, 1853 thereabouts. Let's look at the bonds. Bond market has been very interesting. We'll start with the 30-year. So the 30-year ZB traded almost all the way down to the Tenkan-sen at 169.17. It didn't make it. The low was 169.31. And then put in a bounce and a doji, you know, a long-legged doji, potential reversal type candle. It's also notable that we came down and closed this gap, although technically I don't really like it as being closed given that we didn't put a body in that area, but we did come down and test this open gap, then therefore this gap, which is called a window in Ichimoku terms, could act as support. Now, so we'll see if price gets back down to the top of this window, which is at 171.04. We could see a bounce from that level. So keep an eye on that 171.04 level. If not, then we could continue lower towards the Tenkan-sen 169.17. Let's look at the 10-year ZN. Similar to the 30-year, we did put in a spinning top doji potential reversal candle. It's actually green. It did come down and test the Tenkan-sen. In fact, tested slightly under the Tenkan-sen, tested its own gap. So very interesting that it's sort of like spanning this area between gap windows. But did put in a bounce off this window and off the Tenkan-sen and finished above the Tenkan-sen. So technically, ZN is bullish in Ichimoku terms. Does have a supportive rising cloud, although the cloud is a little bit complicated, not beautiful. Like if price action was like over here in this area and had this kind of supportive cloud, that would be quite bullish. But this is kind of a little bit sketchy for the moment, because technically, if next week's candle opens here, we still have the cloud way, way, way down here. So keep an eye on this window offering resistance to the upside, which is at 132.19, and look for support at the Tenkan-sen 131.22. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar is still in an uptrend. After last week's close inside the cloud, we got another test slightly out under the cloud, and then we found buyers taking the dollar almost to the top of the cloud, and then putting in a little bit of selling at the top. So if we continue in the uptrend, I wouldn't be surprised for us to test the top of the cloud, which would be at around 97.73, and see if we can break above that or if it holds price action inside the cloud. And I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching my video. Also, if you are following me on Twitter, you already know about this. I do have a little fun art business on the side. I've been selling pyramids. They're called orgonite pyramids. They improve the energy quality in your office. They help out a lot with mitigating the electromagnetic fields that we are all sitting in front of with our multiple monitor, multiple computer, multiple gadget, Wi-Fi, etc. Reality. So if you're interested in learning more about, what these things can do to help you out, or if you want to just see what they look like, you can check out my website for those. It's called omorgonite.com. OM, and Orgonite is spelled ORGONITE. I'm just telling you this in case you're not following me on Twitter, because I keep posting about it on Twitter. So if you are following me on Twitter, you already know about it. And I'll try to put a link to my website on the YouTube video here if I can figure that out. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and good luck trading this week. I expect it'll probably be another week of choppiness, but we'll see. Seems like, it's not till like the middle of August, the beginning of September, when kids start going back to school, that the markets really pick up in volume. But, you never know. Any kind of catalyst could come along. All right, take care. Thanks a lot. Bye.